Have you ever stared at the Mona Lisa painting and wonder what draws you into the painting and why it's become so popular? Well, many researchers actually believe that it's the painting's smile that draws people into it and has given it its notoriety. So for this video, we're actually going to take a deep dive into a smile. And to begin with, I want you to think about the times that you've been around someone or a group of people who are happy and smiling a lot, and how that tends to lift your mood and make you smile more. Or if you ever noticed that you or someone you know was going through a very negative emotion, like they were very angry or sad or frustrated, and suddenly something unexpected occurs and they let out a good laugh, and suddenly it's very hard for them to basically go back to that negative emotion. Well, for this video, we're going to sort of talk about the details of a smile and how exactly it affects us on a level psychologically as well as physically, and why it's your superpower. Welcome. I'm Dr. Jack, and this channel focuses on helping you live a healthier, happier life through knowledge. And to begin this video, I'm going to kind of jump into some just kind of random facts and figures that I came across in my research about a smile and all of its health benefits. Researchers have found that your brain is stimulated the same way during a smile as it would if you were to suddenly be told that you won $25,000 in cash, or if you ate 2,000 pieces of chocolate. A smile is also the emotion that someone wears on their face that we notice from the greatest distance. So up to 90 meters, we can tell that someone is smiling. However, any other emotion that you pick up on by looking at someone's face, you typically need to be at least half that distance closer to recognize things like if they were angry or sad or frustrated. Children tend to smile the most. They smile on average about 400 times a day. Your average adult smiles about 20 times a day. And a happy adult is someone who smiles 40 to 50 times a day. And females smile more than males. In my research, I found that females actually are more likely to pick up on whether someone is fake smiling, or what's called a social smile or forced smile, versus a genuine smile, or what's called a Duchenne's smile, which is named after Guillaume Duchenne in the 1800s, who discovered that if you were to have a forced or fake smile, it activates a particular muscle called the zygomatic muscle, and basically it just brings up the corners of your mouth. Whereas a genuine Duchenne smile, you end up smiling with your eyes as well. And it kind of gives you that crow's feet around the eyes. The fact that women are more likely to pick up on the differences is just inherent in what researchers have found in regards to females just being more likely to pick up on things like facial expressions as well as intonations that would evoke emotion that are possibly hidden within those forms of communication. I definitely think this is true. I can tell you that, even from my own personal experience, and you guys have probably experienced it too, say there's a situation where I'm meeting a good friend, two good friends out for lunch or something like that, and one's male, one's female, and say I got a lot going on in my life. I could show up and the guy friend will look at me and say, "Hey, how you been?" And I could look at him and be like, "Oh yeah, I've been doing great. Things are going fine." And, life goes on and nothing more. We talk about something else. Whereas, say my female friend could ask the same thing and I could sort of respond the same way. And, she might look at me and be like, "Oh, what's going on? Is something going on? Do we need to talk?" I've definitely known sort of a difference between males and females in regards to what they pick up on in social cues in that regard. And I even see this in my clinic, where I've noticed that my female patients are more likely to say things like, "I feel this way," or, "This makes me feel this way," whereas my male patients really hardly ever use that type of language. So to talk more about all the benefits of a smile, let's create a hypothetical situation. So let's say hypothetically you're going to this party and you walk in and you notice two different groups of people that are standing there talking. One group, the people might be standing there, they're not really smiling, their face is sort of serious and they're talking to each other, maybe their arms are crossed. And then the other group, they're jovial, they're smiling, they're happy, they're laughing. Which group are you more likely to approach and start a conversation with? The vast majority of people will probably say it's that latter group, right? The happier crowd. And studies have actually shown that to be true. When participants are shown pictures or videos of people smiling and then asked to basically describe them, they describe them sort of not unlike how alcohol might affect people too. They describe them as being more attractive, they describe them as being more confident, more trustworthy, more reliable, less selfish, and more relaxed. There was also a 2011 study done at the Face Research Lab where they found that people in general are just a lot more drawn towards someone who makes eye contact and smiles. To me, that's not really a huge surprise just based on, personal experiences, right? Say you run into someone, a stranger, and they look at you and they smile, make eye contact and they smile, you're gonna have sort of a more pleasant reaction to them. Of course, kind of depends on the environment as well as, I guess, the smile. There are creepy smiles out there, which is a different story. What I find awesome about that study is that I discovered that there is a place that actually called the Face Research Lab. And so what a cool place that would be to work, right? Where you sit there and basically stare at people's faces and watch their reactions. Oh, smile, check mark. Studies have also shown that individuals that smile appear younger. There was a study where they took participants and showed them 171 different faces on photographs and things like that. And they were asked them to rate them on all sorts of things. And participants rated the photos where people were smiling as guessing their age to be younger than their actual stated age. Perhaps smiling is like Botox. And speaking of Botox, there was actually a British study that found that individuals who got Botox and could not frown, they were more likely to be happy. And this sort of taps into the whole Charles Darwin facial feedback hypothesis. For those that smile, they're more likely to be happy, and those that frown, they're more likely to be sad. Because we also know that if you were to force a smile, it would also make you happier as well. So let's get back to that hypothetical party that we're at. And so you're looking at the two groups of people, you approach the people that seem happier and smiley, and you end up walking over there and talking to them. And as you're talking to them, you start to notice that you're smiling too and that you're feeling happier. Perhaps you notice also that your blood pressure and your heart rate is decreasing, which long term can decrease the risk of cardiovascular disease. And you notice the anxiety and stress from perhaps an hour ago when you were at home and your kid decided to wipe poop all over your house. And for those of you who don't have kids yet, you'll see what I mean. But you notice that your stress and anxiety levels are decreasing as well. And you also notice that little backache or the plantar fasciitis that you walked in with, you're just not paying attention to it as much. You begin to wonder what the heck is going on. You might look at your drink and wonder what the heck's in your drink. And it turns out that research has shown that all of this actually is the result of smiling and being happier. So what researchers have found is that when you smile, you actually decrease cortisol, which is your body's stress hormone. And that in turn leads to a well-balanced and stronger immune system, as well as releasing your body's what's called feel-good hormones. And these are things that, those of you that follow the channel, I talk about these hormones quite a bit, things like serotonin, dopamine, and endorphins. So just to kind of break those down a little bit, serotonin is what individuals that are clinically depressed typically lack, is serotonin. Hence you have the class of drugs called SSRIs. Those are things like Zoloft or Paxil. So it's sort of a feel-good hormone that has antidepressant effects, as well as mood enhancement and things of that nature. And then endorphins, people that run a lot and you get a runner's high, that is what invokes that type of sort of euphoric feeling. And endorphins, if you break the word down, endo means your body's, and then morphine, so endomorphine, is your body's own painkiller. So endorphins have been found to be your body's 100% natural organic painkiller. It's also been found to decrease stress and anxiety, as well as decrease weight because it regulates your diet. And there was a study, of course, a study that looked at two different groups, and one group they were shown funny videos, and another group they were shown kind of boring, sort of non-emotional evoking videos. And sorry for all the golfers, but they were golf videos. During this time, they were subjected to a very strong blood pressure cuff, or their extremity was immersed in various cold therapy, and they measured their pain tolerance. And it was found that those that were watching the funny videos and evoking, smiling and laughter, actually had higher pain tolerance. And there was another study that I came across where individuals would stick their hand in a ice bucket essentially, and they would time them, and they would ask them for the first try to basically not smile, don't frown, no facial expression, and just stick their hand in there, and they were timed as to how long they can keep their hand in there. And then on the second go around, these same individuals, same ice bucket, stuck their hand in there. And this time they were asked to hold a smile on their face the entire time. And some of these individuals were actually able to leave their hands in the ice bucket up to 2 times longer. So if those of you that are bored at home, give that a try. It actually works. So you're talking to this group of people and you're having a good time and you're noticing that you are smiling more yourself. What exactly is happening inside your brain to make this occur? Well, scientists have found out that when you are smiling or you see someone smile, what ends up happening is that it stimulates a part of your brain called the orbital frontal cortex, and that's the part of the brain that processes sensory reward. So when you see someone smile, you feel rewarded, and during all of this, your brain actually mimics smiling as well. Part of the reason why it does that is because it's trying to duplicate what it sees to tell whether or not the smile is genuine, or meaning a Duchenne smile that we talked about earlier, or if it's more of a forced or fake smile. And in fact, there was a study that was done where they had participants hold a pencil inside their mouth, between their teeth. When you do that, it engages the muscles in your face that allow you to smile. And then they were shown these various photographs of people that were either fake smiling or real smiling. And they ended up performing more poorly when they could not mimic the people's smiles that they were seeing in regards to differentiating whether or not it was a fake smile or a real smile. So smiling, much like sneezing, is very contagious and makes others around you feel happier. The other thing that's happening inside your brain is that you have these things called mirror neurons. What we know about mirror neurons is that they are the neurons or brain cells that end up firing when you perform an action, such as smiling, and also, they fire even if you observe someone performing that similar action. So just seeing someone else smile causes the mirror neurons to fire much the same way as if you were to actually smile yourself. There was also a Swedish study where individuals were shown pictures of all sorts of emotions, and then they were shown pictures of someone smiling, and they would ask the individual to frown right when they saw that image. And these individuals actually had a very hard time doing it because it is very hard to frown when you see somebody else smiling. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've noticed this when people are around a bunch of children as well, especially when it's not their children. And because children smile 400 times a day, and so their smile is contagious, and that happiness is contagious, and so people tend to be happier when they're around them. So getting back to that group of people, say one of them actually ends up offering you a job interview eventually, and it's also been shown that people that smile more in job interviews are more likely to get the job. Those that smile more at work tend to have increased income, increased productivity, and hence are more likely to be promoted at work. And just some other random facts, there was also a 2009 study which looked actually at yearbook photos, and they just simply looked at yearbook photos of women who had a true Duchenne smile, and they found these individuals years later and found that those that actually had a large Duchenne smile in their yearbook photo were more likely to have happier lives, happier marriages, and less setbacks in life. And this was actually duplicated in another study when people looked at baseball cards and found that actually these individuals that had a very genuine smile in their baseball card photo were on average more likely to live 7 years longer as well. So it actually affects your lifespan. So how do you smile more? How do you become happier? You could force a smile, and in various studies that has been shown to have some benefit. You could also sort of surround yourself with people that make you happy, right? And events that make you happy. It's also important to kind of be able to laugh at yourself, develop a sense of humor in that regard, as well as, watching funny movies and reading jokes on a regular basis. And something else you can try, a lot of people now are at home doing Zoom meetings and all these things and sort of doing remote working and meetings. One thing you could try to do before your next meeting is just take a moment and envision someone you deeply love and care about, or an event that made you really, really happy, and then hop into the meeting. Now, nobody is expecting anybody to walk around and smile all the time, obviously, because that might be a little bit odd, but I hope that what I've done is convince you with this video that smiling has many benefits and is positive for not only you, but those around you as well. And so the next time you're around somebody or you see somebody that looks down or not as happy or they're stressed or anxious, be sure and show them your smile. Because as Mother Teresa would say, you never know how much good a smile can do. And so with that, I'll leave you. Till next time, take care, stay safe. Bye-bye. Pura Vida.